We're going to do a quick review of last week, and then the things that you want to pay attention to in the review is what kind of things that highlight as danger signals, because that's what we're going to be doing in our practice tonight. So we talked about an ideal budget, and that's the kind of things where we're seeing people that are they feel safe financially, they have savings, there's nothing pressing. We had the borderline where things are beginning to happen, and basically you're looking at someone who's breaking even. And then the danger in breaking even being when there's a problem, you might have to extend credit. And then we had the crisis budget, which was where things are off track and you know it. And we like to get people into counseling when they're either in an ideal or a borderline. When you come into crisis, that's the kind of client that I like to have, because that's where I've spent a lot of time counseling people is in a crisis situation, and I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing there to help people get, if the house is on fire, help figure out some ways to put out the fire. We talked about things you can do to change, and then we talked to the engaged couples, of which we had none. And we talked about how to budget, and once you got your totals on your budget, how to see if they were positive or negative, and what to do with the either surplus or shortage. We talked about why we overspend and the way to get a budget that works. Did anybody go to crown.org and look at their, did you? Well, did I oversell it or was I right? It had some pretty cool stuff on there, right? Yeah. And then we had prayer. And we talked about ways to change. And so now we're to tonight. And that was your 1 minute review of an hour's worth of material. And so if you like, we'll start with prayer, and then we're going to get started. We're going to divide up into teams. There's going to be winners and losers tonight.
Do we have a handout?
No, it's just all in your head. So let's pray, and then we'll get started. Lord, Father God, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. And God, thank you for the couples that are in this class. I pray, Lord, that if they're seeking knowledge or if there's something that can help someone in their lives, that God, they'll hear the things that they need to hear to be able to help those family members or friends that come to them for help. Please be with me as I speak tonight, and please be with our families and help them to thrive. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. You've got a pencil? Do you have a pencil? Okay. What I'd like to do, I don't know, you guys have been married a little while, so I think you can stand it. If we could divide up and have women on one side and men on the other. Okay. This will be the women's table.
Okay.
This will be the men's table.
Okay.
If we have more people come in, Miss Sue, you can join in the women's table if you want to. Okay. If we have more people come in, we're going to divide them up as well. And so now the contest begins. I'm going to give you some families. These are not particular families. It's not a certain person that I've met with. This is kind of a culmination of different kinds of families that I've seen the same kind of problems. So we're going to get started. You're supposed to do two things: identify the danger areas and offer solutions. And the scoring is going to be set up this way. I have written down the things that I thought of as as danger areas and the solutions I thought of. If you come up with a solution that I've thought of, you get 2 points. If you come up with one I haven't thought about, you get 10 points. So here's our first family, the paper family. This is the information you have. If you got any other questions, we'll just go with, I'll fill in something. But this is the kind of thing that we're looking at in a lot of families. And what I need to do is identify the danger areas for this family, and then some things that they could do to solve those problems. And you got 3 minutes. And then I'll get your solutions and we'll go from there. Sure.
We apologize for the TV screen being damaged. Sorry about that.
I thought it was a visual effect.
No,
I did too.
So it's terrible.
Hey, Lori, can we ask a question?
Sure.
Um, Is that take-home income?
That's their gross income. The 35,000 and the 15,000 is gross income. Hmm.
So we got to,
They're going to have taxes come out of that and tithing and things like that, if they're tithing.
but I mean.
No, they're not
we-
tithing.
So we got to figure out what tax bracket?
No, all you need to do is just look at that and go, okay, so what are the danger areas for them?
Yeah.
Like what kind of things would make you worried if it were you or if you were counseling them, and then ways to solve it. Now, Miss Sue, you can work with them if you want to.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
They're probably doing fine.
Okay.
I just was playing.
Okay. Okay. 15 seconds. Okay. So we're going to start with the ladies first. What kind of danger areas did you see?
They're way over the percentage of their home, and it needs a roof. They probably need to do something about getting their roof fixed and then trying to sell that house and get into a smaller mortgage.
Very good. Okay, guys, that's great. So, guys, what did you guys come up with?
We got the same thing as they did, but also that the wife, her income is low and their child care percentage is double what it ought to be. She might just be able to stay home and save a little bit of money, but they need to get out of that house. So.
Right. And so the things that, with this family, I've counseled people for a lot of years. I've never had anyone sell a house when I thought it was, when I recommended it. No one ever sells their house. If you see a family and they're going under because of their house, you can tell them, you know, I look at your budget. It looks like to me your house is a problem. They're probably not going to sell their house. And so once you realize that, you go, okay, well, what can they do? The kind of things that I saw was the house was the area, and then the lower income not really benefiting the family that much. Both of those were great things. We wanted them to begin to tithe, to designate a % of their budget as God's, and just learn, even if it's 0.05%, just something to get into the habit so that goes up. I would want them to bundle expenses like phone, cable. And then here's the one that I learned from Gary. Whenever you're like, even though their housing is 60% of their budget, it's possible that they have a lot of equity in their house. Like if it was in a high growth area, it was a lot for them, but they could sell it for a lot of equity. And what I would want to know is if they did sell their house, which they probably won't, but if they did, because, is this the family that had, yeah, the thing, like, they've got little kids, but the question is, if they sell the house and they had that equity, could that get them through the time for her to stay at home so they didn't, like, you know, how much is she really making an hour by the time you pay for childcare? I was stunned when I found out what childcare costs. My best friend had to put her little girl in daycare. She told me $900. I said, are you kidding me? She said, oh no, that's the going rate.
It wouldn't be too big of a stretch to try to do something different with childcare, because next year the kids are going to be in school.
Exactly. Very good. That's good. You get 10 points for that. That was something I hadn't thought about. They're getting older.
I was thinking at the same time.
Okay. Still just get 10 points. Not getting 10 points. And so my question would be, could the equity in the house pay off their debt, which would give them, you know, more spending money? Or could it pay educational expenses? Like if they sold their house and lived in an apartment, could someone go back to school and get a higher income when they re-enter the workforce? And
Just not to have that stretch every month. I mean, 60% of your income going into a house payment, that is a lot of money.
a lot of times that's happened, is they've gotten into the best house that they could afford to make the payment on. And the bank, if you've got a good credit rating, that means you're going to make the payment no matter what you have to do. So they're going to loan you the money. I understand that it's harder to get a mortgage now than it used to be.
Now, on a analysis like this, or in housing, or is that including utilities and
Yes,
fixed expenses, basically?
it is. What I was using was the budget from Crown. And what they include under housing is your mortgage payment, insurance, taxes, electricity, gas, water, sanitation, telephone, maintenance. Whether you put internet expenses under there or not, that's kind of a, you know, I don't know that that's really a housing expense, because you're probably going to have that no matter where. The lesser wage earner in this family is really only making $2.40 an hour, because the $6,000 on child care, the $3,000 extra on taxes, the $1,000 extra wear and tear on the car and clothing, and that's $2.40 an hour. That's what made me stop working. Is I heard that on Focus on the Family one day, and I went on the Crown website and I thought, how much am I really making now? Because I'd gone down to part-time and I was paying for child care, and I found out I was making 40 cents an hour. That was 20 years ago. 40 cents an hour. And my husband was making enough money then where if he worked 2 hours of overtime, he made more money than I made in a week. And so I said, you know, I could stay home with the kids if you could do this. And he goes, I can do that. Here's the next family. So what are the danger areas? And then the next thing is, what are the solutions that you would give this person? And go.
What do you mean resale for clothing?
She shops resale for clothing. Instead of going to department stores or mall, she finds like Goodwill. Yeah, like if you're going to buy 3 pair of pants in a year and you can buy them at Goodwill, then you've saved money. Yeah. Of course, I don't think many people buy just 3 pair of pants a year, but we'll just go with that. There we go. By the way, some of these are a little tricky. Just heads up on that one. about that. Well, I have that the budget's within normal guidelines, so probably she does tithe.
Now,
Yeah.
when you show that she has no child support coming in, but we don't know how many children that is, and whether they're school age or whatever, is that,
Right.
we need to worry about that?
No, not really, because child support would apply till they were 18. So, okay, you guys ready? You want to jump in? Okay, we'll go with the men first. What kind of solutions did you come up with?
Oh, she's not filing. Well, no, it's going to be in the budget.
Yeah.
The problem is her car. She's saving some money each month. She might be able to save up and put a real good down payment on a car, or even buy a car outright.
Right.
So,
Okay. What about you guys?
Yeah, that's pretty much all we
Pretty
can
much
figure
all
out.
we figured out.
Okay. So here was this is a family that I've seen this more than once. There's no money for a car. She needs a car. And so who is our provider? Is our employer our provider? In a way, maybe. But who else is our provider? Who's our real provider?
She needs to go to the church ministry.
Well, she needs to pray for God to provide a car. She needs to ask God to provide a car for her, and tell people that she loves and knows, and ask them to pray with her if they could pray with her. And you know, God's formula for finances is too much plus too little equals enough. And so, in her situation, that would be a really good thing to happen. And then the other thing I had is possibly legally pursue child support. If you've had someone in this situation in your family, you'll know that that's not always a great thing to do. It depends on why the dad is gone. Sometimes that's not a good solution. The cost of having that pursued would be greater than the benefit. So that's really up to that person. That's something that maybe, if legally she has a right to it, there's no reason, then maybe if there was an attorney in the church that she could just talk to and just, you know, like casually ask your pastor if he could link you up with someone who could just advise you about it, and see what they said. Maybe pursuing child support would be a way to solve the problem. And you know, settlements sometimes can be creative. It could be that he would have to buy her a car to make up for past child support. I don't know.
I have an idea. Would it be worth her buying a lottery ticket a week?
No.
It's only $1.
No.
It's in the budget.
Well, what Dwayne Ellsbury says is, for you to win, that means your neighbor has to lose, and for that reason, it's not biblical.
I prefaced that remark with said, I wonder how she'll react to a joke.
Yeah. You know, the thing is it's so tense in this situation that she probably is going to love a joke. It's just, she's so, and most people when they come in, you know, they're in a tense situation. They're embarrassed that they've had to ask for help. And if you've never had to ask for help, which there was a time when my husband and I had never had to ask for help, that first time you do it, it's rough. But man, God provides so greatly when you just come clean. You know, just come clean with Him, and He provides. Okay, our next family is the plastic family. There's a hint what the problem might be. 3 minutes. Okay. So let's jump right in. Ladies, what do you think? What's their danger?
Their credit, their debt. It doesn't say that the wife works, maybe she would need to take on a job to help pay off that debt. You know, just what she makes goes toward getting rid of the debt.
Their kids in public school, there's no child
And there's no child care. And then when they get that debt off, then they might have to do something about another car, if they've got 2 old cars, so. Yeah, we save.
starting to tithe,
Save.
whatever percent they can start with.
Tithing and just putting back money. Her fund should be in trying to get them out of debt, and then so they can save, tithe, get out of debt, and then
Now, they should
start
probably
to learn to live within their means.
start some pattern of giving from his income, and all of her income go toward cancellation of the debt.
Okay, well, the kind of things that I came up with is that they're using.
We said debt consolidation. Then they do want debt consolidation.
Did I have that? Oh man, I didn't have that on my list.
10 points.
That was one of ours, she was just saying that we were just talking.
Oh, you're kidding!
We wrote it
all
down.
that credit so that.
Okay, you got a gap to fill in here because that's twice they've done it. Yes, the debt consolidation would be a good solution. I didn't have that listed, but I will next year. Through
First thing we wrote down.
That was on our list, we just didn't.
well, the debt consolidation through a nonprofit agency like Consumer Credit. There's lots of people that have debt consolidations. The danger with a debt consolidation is if there's a debt consolidation and there's no change in spending habits, all you have is another debt. Also, you have this momentary freedom, which you can incur a lot of debt during that little honeymoon period of like, oh my goodness, we're going to have so much money, and well, we could afford this. And then you're just back, like, if there's no change, then a debt consolidation isn't, it's sometimes it's not a great idea. If there's true change, if there's a repentance, then it can be tithing. I heard you guys mention. I would ask if they could sell a house or assets to pay off the debt. Like sometimes you never know what people got left from mom and dad or grandma and grandpa that's sitting there, and it might not mean anything much to you, or it might not mean anything much to your kids, but it might be valuable. So is there something that you could sell that would pay off the debt? Because I know for me, you know, I'd want my kids to have peace. And if there's some heirloom that really doesn't mean that much to them, if it meant something to me, I gave it to them, now they've got this thing and they could have peace, or this heirloom, I'd rather they have peace if it was my kids. So I had that one person possibly could work a second job, part or full-time, for the sole purpose of debt repayment. That sometimes when that happens, it's very hard on the family dynamics because there's no downtime or very little downtime for the person if they're working a second job, or if one person's taking care of kids while the other person works and vice versa. It's hard on a marriage. So if that has to happen, if you have to have the second job come in for the sole purpose of debt repayment, is a good way to look at that, and no extended credit while that's happening. And then find what they could do to create savings and to avoid more debt. Like if they're doing impulse purchases, if that's where the debt's coming from, because who hasn't had this happen? Who hasn't gone into Walmart for milk and bread and come out with $100 on the cash register, and you're thinking, how did this happen? I just needed milk and bread. Well, if that happens to them, but they're going to Walmart 3 times a week for milk and bread, if they went one time and bought 3 loaves of bread and 3 gallons of milk, then they've saved $180 because they would have spent that other $90 on impulse purchases. So just reducing the exposure. Okay. Yeah.
With that debt at 30% like that, if they've got equity in their home, would they be benefited to try to shift that debt over to a low interest rate, like an equity loan, to cancel out the debt? Or does that stretch it out? Does that become like a
Well, since I don't know what their income is, that debt of 30%, you know, we know it's 30% of their income. A lot of Christian financial counselors would say, just, you know, stick with it and try to pay it down. Dave Ramsey would say, don't incur any additional debt, but pay off from the smallest to the biggest. And you know, the question would be, is restructuring the debt additional debt? And it's not. But you just want to use it with a reputable agency who's not getting rich off your problems. So next family we have the Shelby family. So we have 3 minutes.
We're not selling any of them old cars. By the way. Auto is exceedingly high. You gotta sell one of the old cars. Pay off. They have 3 old cars, valuable cars, and 2 regular cars. 5 cars. Yeah, they got 5 on it.
That's not 5 cars.
You know, they have 3 vintage cars, and they have all paid for in value. So 3 old collector cars, and they have 2 additional daily driver cars. So they got 2 regular everyday cars. They got 5 cars.
Are you ready? Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and go. I don't remember who was first, so we'll go ladies first. Oh, is it their turn? Okay. Okay. What kind of things have you got?
Well, I mean, they're doing a lot right, but they did not go to college, so they have low income jobs, and I mean, they don't have. I mean, 2 people don't need 3 cars, but I mean that's. I'm not even looking at you.
They have 5 cars.
Did I hit a sore spot? So what danger? What's the danger here for this couple? What do you see coming down the pike that they don't see? Because they're happy and they're in love and their finances are looking pretty good. And she says, "Whatever you say, honey," and he goes, "Whatever you say, honey." They smile at each other. They look at each other like they're dessert and they're hungry. Like this is a happy couple. And what happens to young couples usually as they're married a little while? Usually.
Have kids.
They have kids. So what happens to one of the incomes when they have kids? It's impacted.
So they need to have a vasectomy and only sell one of the old cars and keep the other 2.
And then they have grand cars for the grandparents.
That's fine. No kids. They need to keep no kids.
Okay.
No, that's
One of those,
At
I
least
don't
one
know
out of
if
the
most of the cars
cars,
at work,
exactly.
but they need to get a college education to get better paying jobs for the future.
So they
Exactly.
can buy more cars.
Well,
That's
that
right.
may be true.
That may be
They got
true.
what they need to, then buy more cars.
Okay, so here's what my thoughts were about this family is number one, they have like a pretty good looking financial situation, pretty good. And so what I'm thinking is this car thing might be a good thing for them. Like he might know, he or she, whoever's the car person, they might know their way around cars and be able to make money. That might be what they're doing for extra money is they buy this car, and they sell it, they buy another car, they sell it, they make money. It could be a money maker, like a part-time job, but it's car sales. That's one of the things that could be. But the thing about this family is, they're a young couple. They're probably going to have children. We don't know. But, it's a possibility. And if they can't have children, they might want to adopt, and that's very expensive. So the kind of things that we want them to do is not just, we know they're happy, but what we want to know is like, can we get just a little bit of stability going into the future for the unknown? Because there's so much unknown when you're young. And so they have 3 vintage cars. My question to this family would be this: if you sold one of the cars and you used the money from that car to pay for college for one of the 2 people, because we know they had great grades in high school, which means they know how to study, that might take a low wage job to a high wage job or a better wage job, and then and have more money to buy more cars.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or sell one of the cars to pay for the 2 daily drivers that they have, because their auto goes 32%. So if they sold one of their cars, they could, lump sum pay off
Right.
one of the cars that were paying on it.
Right. The thing that I have found, most of these are not based on real life couples, but this one is very similar to a family that I had in counseling. And the thing that I didn't know then that I know now is that when people are good with cars and they see a bargain, they know what they're looking at. And so my advice to this family, if I had them 20 years ago, I would have been, dude, you got to sell that car. You got to sell all 3 of those cars. You got to go back to college. This is the way. But now, knowing what I know, that might be the income maker for them. So,
Sell one of them if you got to.
yeah. Okay, so let's see. We got the plastic family, right? Shelby family. Mrs. Agnes. This is an older lady at our church. We'll give this 2 minutes. I'm going to subtotal points here.
She's still driving.
Sell the house, sell the car,
Okay, we're.
last for another year.
Yeah, just rip her out of the house.
Raising her family, just go, no, well, her kids live away anyway.
Yeah, but rip her out of her house, she's security. She's in good health.
She's fine. She'll make it.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Guys, go first.
Okay, we're gonna do something to find a way to reduce that medical expense. She has insurance already, so what's going on with that? How can that be reduced?
Okay, I was recently with a group of girlfriends, and we were kind of talking about a subject, and it came up, and they said, you have no idea what the real world is like in this situation. I had 3 friends in the car with me, and they straightened me out. Well, in this situation, if you looked around our church, you would have no idea how many people are making those kind of choices every month. If their blood sugar is high.
Yeah, I'm not thinking not to go to be treated. I'm saying, is there something a way
Why
to
is the
deal
cost
with
not
it?
being covered?
Right. And so the danger is, oh, and okay.
I think, we think she's 80 years old, she owns her own home, but her children live away. She's a Christian. I don't know what her family's children are like, but I think she ought to sell her home, move closer to her children. What she makes off of her home, maybe she could build an apartment or help them do something, that she could have enough.
Or an
Living
assisted
close-
living home,
or
which
assisted
she could
living.
sell her car as well, because everything she needs is all on that complex.
Oh, but you said that 5-year look back thing
Yes.
where.
Yeah, there's legal, but
No, I'm not thinking for anything other than if she's
well, the
independent, she may not really want to give up her
Right.
independence, but if she sold her home and could
They
help
got a
them
smaller,
like
build
rent an
something or
apartment.
be closer to their children.
well, the thing about the 5-year look back is that if the money benefits her, then it's okay. It's when it's benefiting other people, when an asset trades hands. So the things that I have for her is, I really didn't think about her selling her home. So I gave you 10 points for that. But these are the solutions that if it were me and I was 80 years old and my kids lived away, the last thing I'd want to do is leave my home. Like for me, that would be the last thing I want to do. For some people, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But having been with my dad as he's gone through losing his independence and seeing the effect of that on him, I would want to stay in my house every day that I could. Just, So God's formula for finances is what? Too much plus too little equals enough. And so I think in this situation, it would be a good idea for her to ask her church to help. Because if she's 80, there's been changes in things that she might not be aware of. And it's possible that there's someone in their church that could help them find lower medication costs. You mentioned that is we got to do something about the medication. Maybe there's someone in her church that does things like that, that has had a parent age and they know maybe the getting medication through the mail or seeing if there's a program in Medicare that could provide her with drugs because of her income. Shopping around for medication, or maybe she goes, well, I always go to this one drugstore because he knows me, and she's paying more because she goes to the same drugstore where if it was a new prescription, she might be able to get it free or reduce cost at Walmart. So someone that could help her kind of through that transition. Now, just because she's 80 doesn't mean she's not sharp as a tack. She might be on top of things. And if she is, the other thing is, how about World Changers or other local charities? Are there people, are there resources that could help her with other expenses that could make up the difference that she can't pay on her medication? Because
She could, biblically, wouldn't that be
Yeah.
more a thing with their children, taking care of their parents?
No, but there are programs for, I'm not familiar with them, but I think there
Yeah.
are programs for.
See, and Oliver is in PACE, 2 days a week, and that all medical and stuff is included. I mean, she knows how that system. And see, it's a daily. I mean, he goes to this place, so he still has his home. She would still have her home,
right.
and if she qualified to go. Now, my thing with this medication, 28% in so many people, is that as a whole, they're over medicated.
That could be.
They're, and they just go for something and they give medicine, and there's alternative medicine. Maybe it takes a lot of trust when you used to trust your doctor, but you could get a nutritionist to evaluate it.
Well, the thing that she needs to do is ask for help.
Yes.
And we talked about that. Is it's hard to ask for help, and if you were 80 today, that's not the generation that asks for help a lot. So if you see someone that you're close to, or if it's someone in your family, maybe a grandmother or aunt, you might be the person that comes to them and says, I heard the weirdest thing. I went to this class at church, and she mentioned this one lady, and she had this horrible problem with medication costs. How are things for you with that? What are you doing about it? And you might find out that might be someone you can help or lead them to their church. And who knows, that might be the thing that leads them to Christ if they're not a Christian, is having someone offer help that they haven't asked for. That helps. That works a lot. Okay, I believe this is going to be our last one. Media family. Okay, you got 3 minutes. Oh, I meant to add this. The college-age kids that live at home are going to Chat State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in-state tuition,
yeah,
junior college.
yeah.
Bundling it, to cut down that channels. We got that antenna on our TV, we picked up better channels than we did paying on our monthly. Yeah, that's the way to go. Now we got internet on our phone, we don't even have a computer now. Cut down, or cut in bundle, pay channel. Food is way too high, so we're going out 3 times a week, chop out of it. Debt's good, title's good, insurance good, auto is, they need to get jobs. Exactly, the kids wanna have cable and all the channels, the kids.
Okay,
What do you mean by that mom works at home? She's a stay-at-home mom, or she has a job out of the home?
she works from the home.
With an
It-
income?
Yes, she receives an income, but her workplace is the house. Yeah.
So that's a tax deduction. If she's in the one place, in the office,
Yep.
for the sole purpose.
All of them, all
right?
4 of them.
Yeah, our accountant told us, he said, the days are gone when you're not expected to have a home office. He said, if you've got a job, your employer now expects to be able to contact you during the week. If you're off a week, they're going to call you. If there's something you need to have access to, you need to get to your computer. He said he doesn't know anyone who doesn't have a home office. That's what he told us, but I don't know, I don't know how the IRS feels about that, but that's what his opinion was, is that he didn't see anybody that didn't have a home office.
Especially when the computer can go everywhere. How are
Right.
you gonna, yeah.
How you going to turn it off, right?
I mean, you can go in the living room and you can go.
Okay, this is our last round. And so what we're going to do is just call them out. We're not going to go first or second. Well,
People going out to eat 3 times a week is a lot of money.
All them kids gotta get jobs. If they wanna have cable and every channel in every room, they gotta work for it. High school kids
We
need jobs
said-
too.
Those children that are driving cars should be driving a car that they're paid for.
That they would pay for with the jobs they got.
They could just do an antenna instead of all that other stuff that goes along with it.
That bundle.
And antenna TV and flip phones for all.
or burner, right? Okay, so what was the danger area for this family?
Now, not saving money is the thing.
Yep. That's it.
If they trim,
That's their saving right there.
if they trim anything off of their food bill, they can cancel that 5% debt, be debt at 0.
If they can trim off their entertainment business right there, then that'll go straight to savings.
Okay, so what I had is danger, and go ahead and stop me if you think of something, okay? That there was no savings. So what happens if the air conditioner has to be replaced, or a car is wrecked and they don't have comprehensive insurance? Some of the things you did come up with, which was the kids paying for their own expenses, such as cell phones or car insurance. I'm such a proponent of having your kids pay their car insurance. Not from the opinion of someone who did it right the first time. This is someone who did it wrong the first time. Our son turned 18 in June. We kept meaning to get to the insurance office and put the car in his name, under his name. He had a wreck the first day of August, the first day of school. The car that he wrecked, he hit a Ryder moving truck. The truck had been hired by a company who hired 2 contractors to drive the truck, pick up something heavy and take it to this workplace. We were sued by 3 different organizations. We were sued by the Penske Trucking. We were sued by the contractors that were in the truck. We were sued by the people who had hired the contractors to drive the truck. Our son was at fault. He was at fault for causing the wreck. He wasn't at fault as doing it purposely. He fell asleep. His first day of school, he had been to school, to football practice, and had gone to see the team that they were going to be playing the next week play a scrimmage. And he was so tired that he fell asleep on the way home. He had a concussion. We had hospital bills. So just take a look at your car insurance when you get home. Make sure that you're covered for that type of thing. One thing I want to throw in here, there's something called a $1 million umbrella that's only very inexpensive to add to your insurance. And it covers you in the case of something like that. My brother knew someone who had a wreck with a concrete truck. Because the concrete truck was stopped and the power was cut off to it, the concrete set up in the drum. And they were sued for the cost of a concrete truck and the lost income between the time the concrete truck wasn't delivering. It was a nightmare, like $500,000. So $1 million policy is like $100 a year, umbrella policy, get it while you can. The other things I had was looking at the HOPE and Tennessee Promise for this help with educational costs. Right now, Tennessee Promise is paying the difference between the HOPE and the cost of education if you can get in, which is covering 100% for a junior college. But it's competitive. You need to get in there at 12:01 on January the 1st. The bundling for media costs and cutting way down on the media, like you guys said, like, you know, I'm thinking if these kids are going to school and working, they're not going to have as much time to sit around and watch TV anyway. So, you know, maybe they can do that. So, let's total things up.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, guys, got 30. Hold on. Okay. So the totals are 30 to 32. The guys, they won. And just so you know, first time we've ever had the men win. So the prizes for your victory are kind of girly, but that's okay.
It's okay to laugh, right?
Okay. You guys get a jar to have all your money in. No, you can have that one or this one or this one. You get to pick.
Right.
You get to pick one too.
I want the owl one.
Okay.
I want the owl.
See, this is winner on the page. That's how you know you're a winner. Which one do you want?
That's
Okay.
the whole one not in
You
there.
know, it's supposed to be salt and light. So you
Yeah.
got consolation salt shakers.
Very cute.
And Miss Sue, because you were my
Aw,
kind helper, you
thank
get
you.
both.
Oh my goodness, how cute. Thank you.
All right.
Do they get a handout today?
I don't know about those, so they don't get a handout for today. But
Okay.
is there an evaluation that they're supposed to fill out?
Oh, no. These were just, Sonia handed me the folder with the attendance.
Okay, all right.
And there's just these, if they hadn't got, they got these
We got
previous
those
weeks.
last time.
Okay, so if you want some extra copies to
If you
hand
need
out to
any
friends
of
and
these.
family, feel free to get some. And thank you guys for coming. You're free to go. You're all educated. You're ready to be teachers.
Yes, sir.